Good evening. I call to order the regular meeting of the Show Low Planning and Zoning Commission for Tuesday, July 14th, 2020. Roll call shows all commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner Robertson, who is excused. We will start with an invocation and pledge of allegiance. The invocation will be led by Commissioner Josh Adams, and the pledge will be led by Commissioner Hefner. All those who would like to join us, please stand.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for the opportunity we have to gather here today to be able to discuss the business of our wonderful community that we live in. As we meet and gather, we ask that Thou would keep us safe and out of harm's way. We ask a special blessing on our first responders and healthcare professionals, that they might be kept safe and healthy, that they might be able to continue doing their job and helping the members of our community. We're very grateful for this land that we live in and the freedoms we enjoy. We humbly ask these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have no old business on our agenda this evening, so we'll move on to new business. We do have 2 items tonight. The first item of new business is item A, conditional use permit application submitted by Navapache Electric Cooperative to allow for an electric switch yard at 2540 East Cooley, that being APN 210-23-026H. Ms. Feckelcotter.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners.
Excuse me, Commissioner Bishop, I need to recuse myself because of conflict of interest on this project.
Thank you.
I'll take this time to tell everyone I'm not wearing my mask because I believe we're all properly socially distanced. All right, thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Navapache Electric Cooperative has submitted a conditional use permit, or CUP, to allow for an electric switch yard located at 2450 East Cooley, that being APN 210-23-026H. The applicant has requested to construct, they have also requested an 8-foot tall fence with razor wire mounted on top in order to comply with Rule 110A1 of the National Electric Safety Code. The property is zoned C1, which is neighborhood commercial. Public and private utility structures and appurtenances thereto for public service use require a CUP in the C1 zone. In addition, according to City Code, Section 15144 I1C, the Planning and Zoning Commission may permit fences greater than 6 feet in height as a condition of a CUP. A 600 square foot control building has been proposed to protect some of the equipment from weather. However, it will not be occupied except for occasional maintenance. Due to the nature of electrical switch yards, landscaping meeting the city code requirements for vegetative ground cover, shrubs, and trees is not required. The applicant has submitted plans and a proposed landscape plan, which has been attached for your review. The zoning of the surrounding properties includes to the north I1, light industrial, to the south C2, neighborhood commercial, to the east PUD, which is planned unit development, and to the west C1. The current land uses of the surrounding properties includes to the north industrial, to the south Old Navajo County Health Building, to the east undeveloped PUD, and to the west Old Navajo County Health Building. Transmittal memos were sent to all affected agencies, and applicable comments received include: the building official stated a permit will be required and a building shall comply with all building codes. The public works director stated that roadway design and construction is required as discussed. Timber Mesa Fire and Medical District stated that fire flow requirements shall be met and fire hydrant access or NOx access is needed. The property was posted and letters were sent to all property owners within 300 feet of the subject property. No public comment has been received regarding the CUP at the time the staff summary report was prepared. After reviewing the standards for review, the zoning ordinance, discussions with the applicant, and because the request is consistent with the City of Show Low general plan, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission approve conditional use permit 602-04230 submitted by Navapache Electric Cooperative to allow for a switchyard on property located at 2450 East Cooley, that being APN 21023-026H, subject to the following conditions. 1, all development shall comply with all applicable federal, state, and local requirements, including building permit requirements. 2, the development shall be in substantial conformance with submitted plans, including wall height. And 3, the applicant shall coordinate street improvements with city staff. Staff, as well as the applicant, is available for questions.
Thank you. Back to the commission. Do we have any questions for staff on this item? Commissioner Adams.
My question was the roads, said that they'd be working with staff. Does that mean they'll be paving that road? 'Cause that's a dirt road, correct?
Correct. They'll be taking what is East Cooley from where it ends now, several hundred feet to their property and approximately 30 feet into their property to where the first driveway is located. That'll be full city roadway width, meeting all city roadway requirements.
I have a question for staff. Do you have a map view of the property? Couldn't find a great one on the back.
If we can, so that would be the subject property map. That's the aerial. That probably illustrates a little bit better, I think, by or Chairman Bishop, what you were requesting.
Yes.
You can see this is Penrod Road running north to south. This is what we refer to as the old county building. And this is where Cooley currently exists. It stops right about here. And so they will be taking that Cooley alignment and paving that to approximately, again, 30 feet or so into their property. So at this location.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for staff?
I have one more.
Commissioner Adams, go ahead.
You said landscaping would be done, it wasn't necessarily required. Will they be maintaining that also?
Yes, they will. They did submit a landscaping plan to staff. They are proposing to landscape from the block wall that will surround the project to the edge of the roadway. So including in the right-of-way, the unpaved portion. They are proposing to do that with kind of a gravel and a boulder type mix, and they will be maintaining that. Typically, when we would bring something to the commission, we would say they got to do grass and they got to do trees and they got to do bushes. But as everybody knows, electricity and water aren't necessarily the best neighbors. And so they were concerned that if we required them to put in the landscaping, that may cause a problem with the electrical infrastructure that they're required to put in as part of this. So that is why staff is saying, due to the nature of the project, no vegetative landscaping is required. They are still going to be landscaping it, just more of a rock type, so that we avoid that conflict between the water and the electrical infrastructure.
Sure, Hefner.
And then there's an antenna that goes on this property as well? Is that with this property that I'm reading? Or?
No, not that I'm aware of. The only infrastructure they're going to be doing, there will be some realignment of the existing electrical poles that go through the property. They will be moving those and then connecting to the existing poles on the north side of the property, which is why the Form 7460, which I think is probably what the vice chair is referring to. Anytime there's a development of substantial height that takes place within the area of the airport, the developer is required to do what's called an FAA Form 7460, right? That's government talk for you need to make sure that your electrical towers or your building aren't tall enough that an airplane is going to smack into them. They did provide that document to us just as part of the application, and it was included in the commission's packet. According to that form, the FAA has determined that the relocation of these power poles will not cause a hazard to air traffic or airplane navigation. So that's a long explanation of what the 7460 is. So that's why it was included in the packet.
Just if I may, there is a tower associated inside the yard.
Could you please state your name and address for the record too?
My name is Garth Turley. I'm the manager of engineering services for Navapache Electric. And I'll be happy to answer any questions. But to answer yours, yes, there is a tower associated in a communication tower located right next to the building. So, and it is meeting FAA requirements at maximum 70 feet height.
Commissioner Wilson?
And I may have missed this, so just for clarification, this question is for staff. The C1 zoning requires a 6-foot fence, but we're talking about a block wall, correct? That's going around, and they want it 8 foot and not
Correct.
6 foot, correct? So when we're voting, we'd be voting on an 8-foot fence, 8-foot block wall?
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions too. Do we need to explicitly approve that as part of this, or does the motion include that?
Right.
So by code, the commission has the ability to approve fences higher than 6 foot. In this case, they have presented some documentation showing that they need a fence taller than 6 foot for the security of the site. That can be included in the approval and is one of the staff recommendations. When we say staff recommendation number 3, in compliance with the documents that they provided, that's in those documents. So it would be approved by reference.
Any other questions for staff? Commissioner Adams?
I have a question.
Okay, so questions for the applicant, Commissioner Adams?
So you talked about moving the lines on that project, and I noticed they kind of cut across that property there. Will they go down the backside, Dan, or?
So on the north side of the property, so from this switch yard to the APS substation, it's going to follow basically the same route, but it'll turn and go down Cooley to the substation. On the south side, then we will go along an easement granted to us by the Navajo County and continue south until we join up with the line in the existing alignment that is there now.
So the ones kind of crossing behind that county building would stay there?
They would be removed.
They would be removed?
Yes, everything in the middle of the property, which is it's basically in the middle of the property, it will be removed.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Any other questions for the applicant? Commissioner Josh Adams?
Yeah, so it says here that this is to meet future energy needs or demands. Is this for projected growth, or is this more of a redundancy for like safety type thing?
Well, it's a combination of both. We're planning for this switchyard to be able to have a substation in there, a transformer, which can take load. But that's just future, and we're not planning on doing it at this time. So at this point, it's just more reliability and affecting us and tying all these lines together. We've had several outages that have caused because of APS tripping offline, and this will eliminate, that redundancy. It'll provide redundancy and eliminate just the one source that we have with APS.
We're good.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you, Mr. Turley. Are there any members of the public who have questions or would like to comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and bring it back to the commission for action. Commissioner Wilson?
I move to approve PUP 602-04230, submitted by Navapache Electric Cooperative to allow for an electric switchyard on property located at 2540 East Cooley, that being APN 210-23-026H, subject to staff recommendations.
What's the address? It's in here 2 different ways.
Okay, could we get we see 2540
And then
East Cooley?
2450.
Okay, so we do have a discrepancy based on the agenda title,
That is correct.
motion, and the background. So could we clarify that with staff?
Yeah, the agenda title calls out for 2540 East Cooley. The staff recommendations reference 2540 East Cooley. The parcel number is really the governing number, I guess, in this circumstance. The address, while we've got an address associated with it as part of the file, that's a little bit fluid because we don't have anything else in the area. So certainly we could reference it as 2540 East Cooley, but the parcel number is going to govern the actual property itself.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Wilson and a second by Commissioner Hefner.
What about the fence? Did we need to increase that, or is that part of staff recommendation?
How would staff like that to be addressed?
So under staff I think I referred to it previously in the meeting as staff recommendation 3. Staff recommendation 2 says the development shall be in substantial conformance with submitted plans, including wall height. So that would include the 8-foot wall.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? Here none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that motion does pass unanimously.
All right, thank you, Chair. As with any conditional use permit, there is a 7-day appeal period. If no appeal is received by the city clerk within 7 days, this conditional use permit will be considered effective. I'd also recommend that we invite our commission member back in the room at this time. So.
He's watching, or I can go grab him. Okay. Sure.
And here he is.
Welcome back, Commissioner Bess.
Thank you.
Moving on with the agenda, item B under new business is the consideration of approval of revised preliminary development plan for the Hollows, a 3-lot subdivision located in Bison Crossing, more particularly described as APN 309-55-009J. Ms. Fechtel-Cotter.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Again, Scott and Heather Martinson have submitted a revised preliminary development plan, or PDP, for a 3-lot subdivision called the Hollows. The applicants have indicated that the subdivision will be for single-family homes, will allow for detached guest homes, and manufactured homes are prohibited. Lot 3 will be a private showroom and sales office, which will be converted to a single-family home in the future. At its November 26, 2019 Planning and Zoning Commission, the Commission recommended approval of the original PDP for the Hollows, and at its December 3rd, 2019 meeting, the City Council voted 5-0 to approve the PDP. The gross area of the revised PDP is approximately the same at 10.6 acres. The primary change is the removal of the 0.09 acre bulb of public street, indicated as Tract A, which is not required by city code. Lots 1 and 2 will utilize a shared 20-foot ingress and egress easement. The revised PDP will now have a minimum lot size of 0.82 acres compared to 1.13 acres, average lot size of 3.52 acres compared to 3.49 acres, and maximum lot size of 8.44 acres compared to 8.01 acres. This development is on PUD, which is Planned Unit Development, and is part of the Bison Crossing development. A previously submitted final development plan called the Bison Hollow Preserve Villas, the Village at Bison Crossing, was approved by City Council on November 6, 2007. That final development plan was never recorded with the county. Final development plans expire if they are not recorded with the county within 1 year of council approval. The Hollows is a portion of the previously approved PDB for the Hollow at Bison Crossing, which called for 13-lot subdivision with a commercial component. The new preliminary development plan for the Hollows will replace that with 3 lots and no commercial component. Staff has reviewed the submitted preliminary development plan and found that it has met all requirements of city code. The subject property also meets all underlying zoning requirements of the PUD zoning. Current zoning of the surrounding properties includes to the north, PUD, to the south, C1, neighborhood commercial, to the east, R115, single-family residential, manufactured homes excluded, 15,000 square feet, and C1, and to the west, PUD. The current land uses of the properties include to the north, the preserve at Bison Crossing, to the south, neighborhood commercial, to the east, residential, and to the west, undeveloped Bison Crossing. Transmittal memos were sent to all affected agencies, and applicable comments received include Public Works Director, engineered plans for roadway, curb, gutter, drainage, utilities, etc. shall be per city specifications and submitted for approval prior to construction. Timber Mesa Fire and Medical District stated roads must meet minimum codes currently in place, and adequate hydrant spacing shall be met. No public comment has been received regarding the proposed development at the time the staff summary was prepared. After reviewing the findings of fact, discussions with the applicant, the City of Show Low zoning and land ordinances, the City of Show Low general plan, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission approve the submitted preliminary plat subject to the following conditions. 1, all development shall comply with all applicable federal, state, and local requirements. Number 2, public sewer and water lines within the development shall have dedicated public easements. Number 3, drainage ways, including basins and culverts, shall be designed as private drainage easements. Number 4, all development of the hovel shall be in substantial conformance to the submitted preliminary development plan, deed restrictions, and Bison Crossing master plan. Any guest houses shall count towards the maximum total units for the entire Bison Crossing development. Staff, as well as applicant's representative, are available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Steckelcotter. To the commission, do we have any questions for staff on this item? Commissioner John Adams.
I'm sorry, I do. I have a question. And I'm sorry, Justin, you're going to have to help me. I remember this coming up before, and we had questions about walking trails and things like that. And so help me understand exactly what's changing again.
So, as approved by the commission in November of last year, this was a 3-lot subdivision. There was no requirement for a public trail through the property, because that was not shown on the trails master plan. There is an existing sidewalk that does run along the public street that is adjacent to these properties, and that will continue as a public sidewalk. So that is in place. Ultimately, as that road continues, the intent is that it will tie into Old Linden Road, where 18th Avenue is. A lot of people like to park there right now. There's a pull-out that's already been constructed. They like to park there, walk their dogs in the back. That's where that preserve way will end up, connecting to Old Linden, with a public sidewalk coming out to Old Linden that will run through the Bison Preserve project and tie into Highway 260.
And that is all in the plans for future. That's not part of what we're talking today, but that's in the future.
Correct. The project that we're talking about today abuts the portion that's already been built.
Okay.
So therefore, the sidewalk is already in place at this location.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Do we have any questions for the applicant? No questions for the applicant? Are there any members of the audience that would like to comment or ask a question about this item? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and bring it back to the commission for action. Commissioner Hefner?
I move to approve the revised preliminary development plan for the Hollows, a 3-lot subdivision located in Bison Crossing, more particularly described as APN 309-55-009J, subject to the conditions of approval specified by staff and forward recommendation to City Council.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Hefner. Do we have a second? We'll do Commissioner Wilson. I think she had her hand up first. Any other discussion on this item? Seeing none, go ahead and call for the vote. All those in approval of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimously, we've approved this item. Director Triascus, the standard disclaimer.
This item has been scheduled for consideration by the City Council at their next regular meeting, which will be a week from this evening at 7 o'clock.
Thank you. Our next item is call to the public. Is there anyone here from the public that'd like to address the commission? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and move on to the next item, which is the approval of our minutes from the last meeting held on June 9th, 2020. Hope everyone's had a chance to review those minutes. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Josh Adams. Do we have a second? Commissioner Bess has the second. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? All right, the minutes pass unanimously. Thank you. And that takes us to item 9, which is a summary of current events. We'll start with the commission members. Commissioner John Adams.
Just remind everyone to be safe out there. It's dry out there in the woods. We need to protect our forests, so till we get our rains, which Justin said will be late. That's
Thank
all I
you.
have.
Commissioner Bess.
Be safe in the way with the COVID-19 virus. Stay social distance, put your mask on, be as safe as you can.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilson.
I did not get to say this last time, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for allowing me to sit on this board. Really excited about this. And I too wanted to say for the people out there with this pandemic to be understanding other people wearing masks and be understanding of private businesses that require masks. We need to do our part to slow this and stop it.
Thank you. And welcome again to the commission.
Thank you.
Commissioner Josh Adams.
Yeah, I just want to express my gratitude to the city of Show Low for their 4th of July efforts. I know a lot of things were canceled and some people are disappointed by that, but I felt like they did everything in their capacity to put on a good show, and I felt like the fireworks were very good this year. So I wanted to congratulate them and thank them for that effort.
Thank you. Commissioner Hefner, or
I'd like
Vice Chair Hefner.
I'd like to echo that, and thanks to Timber Mesa Fire and Medical District for putting on the show, so to speak, of the fireworks. Like you said, it was pretty good. It was a nice community moment, and just want to remind everybody to be nice. Just take a moment and be nice, and don't take everything too to heart. We all live together. We all work together, and it's our community.
Thank you. And again, I think to echo some comments about the 4th of July, I think the fireworks were fantastic this year. My kids really like the smiley faces. So that's interesting. And to echo the Vice Chair's comments, just being kind to your neighbor, especially in these times where things are very divisive. I think the best thing is just to have compassion for others and to respect everybody's individual rights and views. So with that, Director Taraskis.
Just a couple things. Fireworks have been mentioned. Appreciate that. When my nephew, who's 4 years old, gets tired of watching the fireworks because there were so many of them, you know it was a good fireworks show. Certainly appreciation to all those involved, city staff, Timber Mesa, for helping that be a successful show. I live about a mile away from the high school, and after the show was over, it was very touching. You could hear the cheers of the people that were closer than we were cheering for the fireworks and expressing their appreciation. And that was touching to me. Secondly, elections are coming up. We would encourage people to participate in the elections, look at the different issues, look at the different candidates, select those that you feel would most best represent you and your values. That's one of the great things we have about living in this country, and the rights that we have is the right to vote and to help select those who will represent us in our government. So certainly encourage people to participate and to get out and vote for those that they feel are most appropriate. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it back to you.
Thank you. We've concluded our business for the evening. I appreciate everyone who has joined us in person and on TV. We're now adjourned.